Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Men You Love to podcast. I am Kat, your host, and my guest today is TS Shikora. He is a meditation teacher and writer. He offers one-on-one intro to meditation sessions and guided meditations for individuals and groups. His teachings are designed to help people connect fully to themselves and others and to improve their overall quality of life. Thank you, TS, so much for being here today.
Thank you, Kat. I appreciate you. And it was and is a great experience um, meeting someone who is so passionate and who advocates for men the way you do. It's definitely not lost on me. I have met few women like yourself who do this.
Thank you so much for giving me this beautiful intro. Look at you. Is it your podcast or is it mine? I don't know anymore. But
I
also tell me, did I butcher your name? Because guys, he's been
no,
teaching me how to say his name for 5 minutes and I don't even know why I can't say it properly. I'm so sorry.
you don't have to
How
apologize.
did
It's
I
all
do?
good.
Was it the worst or like where was it on the spectrum of the worst
It's
version
good.
you've heard and the proper
Well, previously you called me Shakira, and I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer, so
one?
yeah,
Okay. So is this acceptable for you?
this is acceptable.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm so sorry that I couldn't do a better job. I really, really tried.
You did try.
Um,
Good.
our topic today is becoming an emotionally intelligent man. And
Yes.
you sent me something so beautiful after we had a conversation on FaceTime a couple of weeks back. And it was just an outline of your journey into becoming an emotionally intelligent man. And just before we dive into it, this is your experience, this is your journey. And I wanted you to share it with other men because I think it's such an important journey for men to go on. And I want to explain to you why. It's not so that you can be better for women. And even today I had a conversation with someone that reached out to me and said, "Oh, I want to speak to the men and teach them about like what women go through so that they can be more supportive and they can understand better." And I said, like, I love that, but on another platform, because the world, in my opinion, is full of lessons to teach men to be better for women. And my goal is to help men be better for themselves. And I think going on this emotional intelligence journey is something that will first and foremost make you better for yourself, make you love
Mhm.
yourself, give you more
Mhm.
compassion for yourself, make you
Mhm.
understand yourself better, improve your
Mhm.
connection to yourself. And then it will, you know, ripple into all your other relationships and intimacy and all those things that we're going to talk about. But my goal is really to make men happier and healthier and better. Not
Yeah.
as a goal to be better for other people, but just for themselves so they can be
Right.
happy and they can be free. So thank you
Yes.
so much for being here and
You're welcome.
giving us this look into this journey that you went into that was deeply personal, as I'm sure I can imagine.
Yes.
Um, do you want to just tell us like how did it start? What happened? What made you think you had to go on this journey?
Well, I'll touch on it. I'll go backwards and I'll touch on it. Um, my journey, uh, kind of officially, and I'll call it a spiritual journey, but I won't go far into that. It began about 14 years ago. And it was a friend who introduced me, for the most part, the biggest part, a friend of mine who introduced me to a very incredible community that does personal growth workshops um, that has been around since 1967. And they focus on love, intimacy, and sexuality. And these workshops are a whole immersive weekend that is experiential. So you do exercises one to one, groups of three, large groups. And they're very like some of them are very just, you know, they're softer, but some you will push your edges. Your edges will be pushed because that's where we find answers. That's where we find healing. And I've been doing the workshops for, like 14 years. and it has brought me just amazing things. Um, and when we go to emotional intelligence, really, I had an experience where I had you know, people will call it a father wound. And in that father wound, I didn't feel like I was um, seen, heard, loved enough, or the way that I needed to be loved, affection and those kind of things. And through workshops, actually doing exercises with other men or male-bodied or masculine, I'm sorry, masculine, you close that gap. You begin to heal, be it through touch that's non-sexual, no agenda, through talking, through experiencing, through crying, through just letting go and being seen and being held, and being known. I was able to heal all that and arrive at a place where now my father is gone, both parents, and I love and miss my father from a place of not liking my father at all. So it really is about going inwards. And it's not an easy thing. Can be very frightening at times to go within because the answers lie within. They're not outside of us. And that was one path um, that um, I stepped into and leaned into. Another part of that journey uh, has been more recent, has been through something called IFS, which is internal family systems, and that's working with your parts, the parts inside of you. People will often refer to, my inner child, my little girl, my little boy, and that's part of the story. And it's healing those parts. I won't because it's a rather expansive. It's another topic, another show.
That's another
But
3 hour topic.
right, but to work with those and to attend to them. What do you need? What do you need from me right now? How can I make you feel safe? And for me, I've been doing it for 10 months, and I'll call them results, but for me, it's really been miracles that I have cleared. And I have, so basically it's these, we can call it like those parts, literally they dissolve, they integrate into the rest of us, right? The rest of me, I should say. And what it unveils is peace and stillness and understanding and just resting in who you are and loving who you are more. So I found it to be amazing, potent work. It kind of happened in a really funny way. My therapist knows my sister, and they're both therapists. And it kind of came about that way. And it was kind of really just happenstance, really. It wasn't, you know, it was like, I don't know, some people call it the power of the universe. You're meant to meet someone, right? We were meant to cross paths. And that's kind of been, those two things have been a big part of it. There's been other aspects, but those two elements have been a big part of it. And emotional intelligence for me has grown out of these experiences of being able to regulate myself, regulate my nervous system. And really, it's understanding my emotions and not judging them and not wanting to run away, staying with them, sitting in it. Some might call it sitting in the messiness. Like, right, I feel angry. I've learned it's not about pushing away that anger, it's being with it and trying to understand what's below it and sadness and all these things and working with it and being tender with yourself. I often put my hand on my heart and on my belly, which is the center of my power, and feeling into it. Because sometimes the mind is going to run a story on it, right? It's gonna run a story for you and say, "Oh, da 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 da." But really, when you feel into your body, that's where you're gonna heal. And again, I want to tell people that the idea that it's like instant or easy is, it's just that's not how it is. But you can do it. And also, what's important is if you have support, professional, a friend, a partner who can be with you in that journey, because that really makes all the difference, I find, right? That really makes all the difference. And there's more aspects to emotional intelligence, of course, the self-regulation, being with others in their grief, in their hurt, and not allowing yourself to get overwhelmed, but seeing it from a place of, okay, I can be here with them. I can be that safe space and still support them and love them and not making it about me. And that's really important. You can take it into work, how you resolve conflict, how you do things like contract negotiation. It's just, you begin to what Tara Brach, who's a well-known meditation teacher who's been doing it for over 50 years, says it is responding instead of reacting. The sacred pause in between, a moment in between of the stimulus of seeing or hearing something. And instead of like, no, or, swearing or something like that, it's, oh, and it's really, it becomes automatic. It becomes muscle memory and it all takes training. And it's really a constant thing, really. So I needed to take a drink of water.
I just spilled water all over myself, by the way, when you were talking. Um, TS, that was, I mean, if I could have written it myself, that was so beautifully said. I agree with everything that you said from, I sometimes compare looking at yourself and your childhood and all those parts as like going into a haunted house, that like no one's been in a long time and there's cobwebs and there's shit and you got to go into all those scary rooms and you don't know you really don't know what's going to come out at you, right? Like there's memories that come up, beliefs, there's all these things, but you got to go into every room and you got to look at all the things that shaped you into who you are. Um, I love that you mentioned support. I think support is super important. I also know that often part of those journeys and I don't know if this happened for you, but from my experience, some parts of those journeys happen in isolation and require us to be alone. Like there's that community component and support component. But I also don't want people to think that this is something you can't do on your own if you don't have anyone. You can absolutely do it. And there's actually, I think, some parts of it that you need to be alone and you need to be isolated and you need to pull back from everyone else and kind of bring in your energy and your attention and your focus. And I think it has all those things. It's just like such a beautiful mix of crying and laughing, being free and then falling down again and then learning something new. Um,
Yes.
but I love what you said because emotional intelligence, I mean, until you can really sit with yourself and say, hey, what I'm feeling is this, you name it, you feel it in your body, you sit with it. People run from the feeling of being uncomfortable or having a big feeling. They disconnect, they numb with, alcohol addictions, shopping, sex, whatever it may be, because it feels uncomfortable and it fucking sucks, guys. Like it really sucks to sit with those big feelings sometimes,
Mm.
but we have to. And the only way to free ourselves from that stuff that's been sitting there is to feel it and to release it, right? Like I
Yes,
feel that you will agree.
absolutely. Absolutely. Kind of playing off that, you absolutely, and in my case for sure, you have to sit alone. Um, you have to sit alone with it, um, and face it. And a popular thing is feel it to heal it, right?
Yeah.
And I've learned too, from my perspective, that uh, when when we escape, we call that escape through alcohol and all these things. It's really the alcohol maybe isn't actually the problem. It's what's underneath. It's why. Why are we going there? Why are we going there?
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes those things can be addressed. They're addressed on the alcohol addiction level instead of actually what's underneath, like the trauma, you know.
Mhm.
But as I watch and I read things in different places, I'm noticing that there's so much more focus on healing the body and not just the mind, not just thoughts, because so much is stored in the body, right? So much is stored in the nervous system. Even the heart stores hurt. Um,
Memories. Like our heart has like 40,000 memory cells that they just realized this shit. Like what, 2 years ago? That our bodies hold, our hearts hold their own memories.
that's right.
And our
That's right.
energy field holds trauma, it holds emotions. Our fascia, they also just realized
Passion.
this,
Yes,
right? Holds emotions, holds trauma, holds memories.
that's right.
And I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I've done a lot of work um on like biofield tuning, clearing my energy. I do a lot of fascia release and releasing the emotions. And I've had both a massage appointment and a chiropractic appointment where I was adjusted or like the massage therapist worked on a knot where I spent hours crying after the appointment and releasing. And I could have had a memory of what it was that I was holding. And like for people that don't believe it, you only don't believe it until you have it, or if you do somatic movement, because a lot of the trauma that we have, we hold in our hips. The psoas muscle is the first respondent in flight or fight, and it's what attaches your spine to your hips. And it's right, but you can't massage the psoas muscle.
Oh,
And so there's a lot of tension in our hips, and somatic movement is focused on relaxing that psoas muscle and relaxing the hips. And when you have a trauma release, your body shakes and you cry or you laugh. And it's a real thing. I've done these workshops for like rooms of women and like for individuals. And if people don't believe in that, just yeah, do somatic movement for, an hour and see what happens to your body.
yeah.
Uh,
And you talk about
amazing.
crying and moving your body is so central to healing because, I've learned if we don't go to that work, the brain is so powerful and the body is so powerful that it will show up as disease. It will show up as physical pain, right? I've even feel I have stuff, physical stuff. I didn't know, like, when it came and started to come, like, I don't know why this is happening. And then I look back and I realize from my past, from my younger self, from my younger adult, things like depression and these things where there's just cortisol rushing through my body almost constantly. And my nervous system is constantly clenched day after day because I'm so afraid that shows up now as I grow younger
Yeah.
as physical pain. And yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, my brother's a doctor, my sister's a psychologist, and it's just amazing what the body can do and what it can tell us if we only listen.
Right. And I think that science knows like 10% of how powerful our body is. I think they're just like beginning to uncover how
Mm,
powerful our body is. I still think that they don't fully know. And just for myself, like I had thyroid cancer when I was 33 and it saved my life. And I will say that till the day that I die. Having cancer saved my life because I was a runner, I was fit, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I already had 3 children, I was so healthy, I was taking care of myself. And I'm like, why? Started to ask myself, like, why here? Right? And I had been silenced my whole life, right? And it was
gee,
in my throat, right?
yeah,
Obviously. Fast
yeah,
forward 10 years or whatever. I have kidney stones and fear is stored in your kidneys, right?
mhm,
And I've lived with, a lifetime of fear. So your body doesn't lie. Your body will always tell you what happened to you and what is still there that you need to deal with. And it's a messenger, and pain is a messenger. And so
mhm,
I also don't take anything for pain, try not to, because it's a message from your body that something needs attention.
yes. Yes. And it's funny. I mean, you talk about the messenger, the way that I've learned the way that we respond to life is often from the past. The body's memory of the past. It doesn't necessarily have to be trauma or wounds. It can be just a really unpleasant moment that
Mm.
is like stamped in us that when something similar, some similar stimuli happens, a moment maybe from another person, it's so split second that you are not aware of it and that you will just react because that's what the body is telling you to do because you're not safe. It's very fascinating. But as you learn these things, or as I'm learning these things, and I can intervene in those moments, it can change everything, Kat. It really can. And that's one of the things through my meditation is being able to sit with myself and with emotions and with thoughts and with sensations in the body and just be with them and realize they're impermanent. You know, the idea in meditation is thoughts are like clouds, they just move through. We don't have to attach to them, we don't have to build them. We can just be with them.
We don't have to grab them and hold on to them, right?
That's
We
right. That's right.
observe. Here they are, and they're passing through.
Hmm. And part of that too, of thoughts is related to the body is we grab on and hold on tight because we're defending ourselves because the body and the mind
Mhm.
defends itself, right? Because the mind, the brain is rooted in, forever back, right? Our ancestors, even farther, first human beings who walked the earth. It was
Ancestral.
survival, survival, kill or be killed, hunter gatherer, all these things. So that has been programmed into the egoic mind. Is that very, sometimes it's called the lizard brain, literally, or the monkey mind. And that's what happens.
Yeah. Do you believe in generational trauma?
I absolutely do. I also believe that we can carry our parents and back. We can carry their karma.
Yeah, passed through the DNA.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, I notice patterns in myself that are from my parents still. Um, I mean, they're not like flying out of me, but I notice them. And I've made, and I make peace with them. I don't judge them. And that's such a big, touching back to meditation, non-judgment, self-acceptance, self-love are just key. And the self-love part, as I was explaining in some of the other things we were talking about, it doesn't just happen. You really have, and not work at it. You just have to, and ongoing, and it will come. It can come. It can appear just like peace when all the suffering and the pain is uncovered and healed. The peace has always been there inside of us. The love is always there inside of us, right? We don't have to seek for it. It's here. And I think you were saying in the beginning, um, or maybe even to me in our early pre-conversation, that to love someone else is to love yourself first. Because then that's where the overflow of your own love for yourself comes to pour into other people. And I think for men, that's, you know, there's a lot of internal barriers, that I hope for and I've worked on for myself to uncover and heal. You know, there's there it's hard to witness that there are some out there who believe that a man is still like this idealized person of just do and don't feel anything and take responsibility for everything and you're not supposed to feel, you're just supposed to do. And for myself, I'm very much like let's say an emotional guy, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable being with my feelings. I'm comfortable being vulnerable because that's how we show up. That's how people see. That's the only way that people can see us. Now, I can also, hey, I'm confident. So in relationship, I'm always, one of my things that I do, one of my values is to always go first. Like when I meet you, I'm going to ask you the first question because I know that you're going to feel most comfortable that way, you know? You're going to feel at ease. People tell me, TS, you make me feel at ease. You're easy to be around. And I do that on purpose.
Agree.
I do that on purpose.
Yeah. I
And
think
it's really,
I think it's part
yeah,
of who you are. Yes.
yes, yes, it is. And it's kind of the inverse of who I was. You know, I always, because I had to, I didn't feel noticed so much, you know. I won't go far into that. I mean, my parents were good people. I mean, and I miss them and love them. My mother was amazing, you know, but she was also very sick, so she couldn't care for me a lot when I was an infant. So I missed that time. I was
Bonding.
past. Yes, I missed the important part of bonding. Um, there's just, yeah, there's so many elements that play into it. Um, but I'll tell you, all the work that I've been doing into this moment right now has been so worth it. It doesn't mean like I walk around and I'm like, you know, Mr. Happy every minute. Absolutely not. You know, there are moments when I feel down or hurting, but it's much different now. I don't live life in fear of life, right? I embrace life. I want to go out there and I want to talk to people and I want to meet people and I want to connect and I want to know, hey, tell me about you. How are you feeling? Is there any way that I can be of service? You know? Um, and I have a lot of people and I feel like I feel for all these years of this work I've done, there are a lot of people who have helped me in times of deep darkness who are still friends and people who are now helping me or who are now there for me. And I don't know if it's like I feel I owe, but I feel like this is what I'm meant to do to return this through my meditation. This is why I'm here now. Now, I'm 56, which doesn't really mean anything to me.
Listen,
It's just a number.
56 is the new 30, TS. What are
What's
you
that?
talking about? Is the 56 is the new 30? What are you talking about? You're a baby.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And this is my calling. Meditation is my calling. You know, I'm here to teach. I'm here to be a facilitator of, dare I say, your healing, because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know personally what you've been through, but I have an idea in general what people go through. I know what suffering is. I know what pain is. I know what depression is. I know what anxiety is, or was, I should say. I know these things, and I don't, and I don't want to see other people suffer. I want to be there for them, you know. So
Beautiful.
all these things really kind of come back around to emotional intelligence. They all play into it. They all play into it, you know. Sitting with myself, working through my emotions, making sense or not sense of them. Just coming to a place of, okay, this is okay. I can feel this. It's not going to destroy me. And being with another and saying, your emotions are okay. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not going to break. You might feel like you're breaking, you know, but you have me there as your support. I'm here to hold space for you. I'm here to listen. I'm here to, you know, be a support. And I'm not going anywhere. That's something, one of the things I learned that I really like is when someone, be it a friend or a partner, and they're really in a place where they're just upset and they're kind of, you know, when you're really in your emotions, you're not necessarily grounded. You're right. You're not even necessarily there in your body because it's too hard. So saying something like, I'm right here with you, I'm not going anywhere, can really help because you're not asking for anything. You're not projecting something onto them. You're just saying, hey, I'm right here. And that's connection. And connection is reassurance, is safety, is showing up, is recognizing you as you are whole. And, you know, I'll stop chatting.
I'm trying to keep while still listening, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to touch on this and touch on that. So first thing, you don't owe
Mm.
anything to anyone. All the help that you've received, you should receive it with open arms and know that you are worthy. And your choice to pass your wisdom on to others should not come from a place or feeling like you owe it to anyone, because you fully deserved every
Thank
ounce
you.
of support that and every ounce of love that you have received from others.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I know I'm not, it's not an obligation as much as it is, this is a gift that I want to share.
I want to pass down. Right.
Yeah. And, you and our meeting is a gift to me. I mean, never in my wildest imagination did I imagine like, oh, I meet this woman on Facebook and she now invites me after a conversation to be on her podcast. What? This is my first podcast, okay? A couple years ago or 3 years, I
That
couldn't
had
have
me
spoken.
fooled.
Right?
I
I
thought it was
couldn't,
your podcast, TS.
right? Maybe I could not have spoken in this forum, okay? Um, yeah, like one real quick, like a gift that all of my work on myself has brought me is I have notes next to me, but I'm not looking at them. I just speak from stream of consciousness from my heart. And that's the space inside that's clear
I can,
because of all the work, right? That's the space inside.
yeah.
I don't even necessarily, I'm not even, maybe I think a little here and there, but not really
Hmm.
active. No, it's just word
Just
vomit.
flowing out of you, this wisdom, it's just like overflowing. And
Thank you.
I love that you're having this experience of watching yourself in real time
Mm.
speak from such a deep place of wisdom and be regulated and just see how far you've come. This is like, it is a gift, and I get to be here and witness it, and I get to be part of it. So I'm really grateful.
As
You really said some profound things, and I wanted to ask you two questions.
yeah,
One, do you agree that the messaging to men about self-love that's out there is terrible? First of all, I think the messaging out there with social media and media about self-love right now is like a bottle of wine. Go treat yourself to fast food. Go treat yourself to this. Go treat yourself to alcohol. Go party. Go treat yourself to these things that are not really treats. And because self-love is not fun. So I feel like the idea that we are being
mhm,
shown in society, like mommy wine culture and all these things that women like plastic surgeries, like, oh, go treat yourself. Like this will make you feel better. Like all these messages that we receive as men and women, but specifically for men in the media about self-love to me are very inaccurate. And and even in the healing world, I would say there's messages about like, oh, like you need to do an ayahuasca trip. Oh, you need to learn breath work. Oh, you need to do this. You need to go and do a retreat. And to me, self-love is not about creating this new person. To me, self-love is about finding out who you are and just loving yourself exactly as you are and just coming back to yourself and saying, hey, I am not good at doing laundry. I can do so many things, but I cannot adult laundry. Like, this is just me. I accept this about myself. I suck at singing, but I'm so good at all these other things. So it's just fully loving and accepting yourself for who you are. And I
yep,
think that's the true message of self-love. And I think men specifically are told that bragging makes them an asshole, that having confidence makes them cocky, that taking care of themselves makes them selfish because men are brought up to provide for others and their whole existence is centered around what can you do for others. Even therapy is how can you be a better man so you can be a better husband? It's not like how can you be happier? It's like how can you be better for women?
mm,
So the message that I want to send to men is you deserve self-love and self-care just as much as anyone else, and you are not selfish for wanting that. And there's nothing wrong with you. In fact, like that's what would make you the best human to yourself and to others, if
yeah,
you loved yourself. Because
yeah,
I don't think, and there's a lot of people that would agree with me, that you can truly love another until you actually truly love yourself.
Right. And we touched
And
on
so
that. Yeah.
people go through life thinking like, oh, I'm just a piece of shit, but I'm such a loving human. Like I do so many things for others and I love them. And I would say that
Mhm.
you don't really love them either.
Yeah.
That you don't have a huge capacity to love because you don't actually love yourself.
Yeah.
Um, sorry. And I wanted to ask you a second thing before I forget.
Well, I can't remember the first one already.
Do you agree about the
Yeah.
messaging to men about what it means, like what self-love means, and then how it's selfish for them to take care of themselves and look after their needs?
I think the message has been feels like it's been the same for a while. It's almost like put a band-aid on instead of actually treating the wound. Um,
And continue bleeding, just put a band-aid on and just
right,
walk
right.
away and
Yeah,
continue.
those are all quick fixes. I mean, you can't just go to a retreat and feel better. I mean, or take ayahuasca and feel better. I mean, ayahuasca, something like that can be a path.
Hmm.
Like these are all like little paths, but they're not the
The
cure
thing. Yeah.
all. They're not the main thing.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's so complex and yet it's not. I mean, it's often it's like a word that I caught on to recently. Stacking is like this word ever used everywhere, but it's conditioning, it's limiting beliefs, it's societal expectations, it's self-abandonment, um,
Throw religion in there, throw family
religion.
dynamics,
Yeah, that's
like
all
all of
right. It's all limiting beliefs and
right.
sense of control from outside. And it's a lot of layers to dig through. It's a lot of layers. You know, I sometimes use the phrase, we have to make the unconscious conscious. Okay. And that is not easy either, you know, because often what's inside we aren't in touch with because it's in our subconscious. Um, we can't reach it or we don't know it's there. Like I could not have done what I do. Like doing what I do now, I had no idea. Like it wasn't even a perception, in other words. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't know because I had no idea until I did, until something shifted in me. And yeah, I it really, it really, I feel like it really starts with people being seen. It has to start from being witnessed. It has to start from being witnessed by someone else, maybe two men witnessing each other, you know, talking. And this is how I feel. I don't know what to do. I feel lost, you know. And I tell you this, I can feel it in my body. I can feel like the electricity of unpleasantness, and it's almost a helpless feeling. Um, but and there's so many, the thing is, there are so many paths. And it's like which one do you choose? But there are so many. Like meditation is not just the only one. But I had meditation and the the workshops, two things side by side, or the workshops really being seen by someone who's been on the journey I'm on now 10 years ago, to be there and say, hey, first of all, you are not broken. You know, as you know, being seen and witnessed and heard are some of the most wonderful things in life, almost
Everything.
beyond being
That's
loved,
really everything. TS.
almost beyond being loved, because actually those are all forms of love.
Right.
Um, you know, and it's hard because nowadays with the internet and with social media, there's just so much stuff out there to know what to look for if you don't know what to look for or what to seek, right? So I would hope that it's people like yourself and like me who can shine the light and say, hey, I'm here for you. Let me show you what I've learned. And that's all you can hope for, really. You can't. You know, we can advocate and we can stand up and speak. And like you with your petition and your website, you can do that. But if someone's out of reach, they're out of reach, right? We can try. The idea is like, you can't, if you try to touch everyone, you'll touch no one.
Everyone has their own journey. Yes.
That's right. Everyone has their own journey. And some people are ready for change, and some people are not, and some people will never will be. And we have to honor that because otherwise we just torture ourselves in the process. So, I guess I don't know if I answered your question really, but
You did, and now I have more questions.
oh, okay. Because I was gonna, okay, because what I, because like I just, you know, can I just actually, I want to veer into more of the emotional intelligence and relationship a little bit.
Sure.
Is that cool? Okay. So things I've learned and practice, although I can't practice all of it because I'm not in relationship right now in this moment, is once, you know, uh, since I've been working on myself and taking care of myself and regulating and all these things, I realize that yes, I want to, you kind of touched upon leading. When I say leading in relationship, it's really just kind of like just being that, I don't know if it's rock or just like not just being like it's like my curiosity, right? It's asking a first question. It's showing you that I'm here for you. And by doing those things in my masculine energy as a heterosexual man, I'm inviting the feminine to feel safe and open her heart. Things like, just presence and listening and curiosity and showing up fully and consistency, right? It doesn't have to be about the outside stuff. It doesn't, I don't believe. For some, it does. It doesn't have to be about the money. It doesn't have to be about status. It doesn't have to be about, wearing a suit. It's really, it's those other things that to me, make a difference and what I believe make a difference for people. And I've also learned that men, most assuredly, don't, some men do, but I would say more and more men don't just want sex.
They
They
don't.
want, they don't, not just.
No, they
And it's
don't. They would trade sex in regular sex for like the hottest sex once a week for a cuddle and a head rub and physical affection every
that's
day.
right.
They would
That's
trade it in
exactly
at the drop of a hat.
that's exactly right. You know, a kiss on the neck or a touch
Mhm.
on the shoulder, or I appreciate you, love, or I'm glad you're in my life, or I'm so proud of all the work that you do for yourself and for us.
And I missed you. And
And I
they
missed you. That's
greeted at
right.
the door with a warm hug instead of, a to-do list.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and saying, thank you. It looks like you had a rough day. Let me hold you. That's
Yes.
everything to a man.
Yeah. Yes. And it has to be reciprocal. We
Mhm.
can't miss that. Okay.
Yeah.
It has to be reciprocal. You know, I have to put, and I want to put in the same kind of effort, you know. And I think a lot is lost on things like mind reading each other.
You know
You,
my opinion on that.
I'm not sure I do. You
Yeah.
can't know unless you know. You have
Yeah.
to speak. You have to speak. Like I'm a very direct guy.
Mhm.
Okay. I also like being in silence, obviously, as a meditation teacher, and feeling through energy. But if I'm not understanding, or if there's something you need or want or desire, tell me. Now, not always. There are moments where we won't go there right now, where you don't always need to talk, but and that comes from over time too, knowing each other and but communication is so and really like in the beginning of a relationship, really understanding not just what your love languages are, but what your style of communication is, because those can be very different,
Right.
right? Those can be very different. And really talking about that stuff in the beginning, I feel like, and I'm learning more than I feel like actually, maybe, that there's just there's such great tools out there for people who are in a relationship, um, for communicating better, for saying their needs. Now, you're not going to have everything met necessarily, but you have to have the conversation, or you have to talk about it. And sometimes talking about it ahead of time, before those things happen, is important. It's the same idea to me where the ideas of chemistry and excitement don't necessarily make for a long-term satisfaction or long-term satisfaction in relationship, really, right?
But also like longevity, because those die in
Mhm.
about 8 months after the
Yeah.
honeymoon phase. So
And here's
when
the
your
thing, Kat.
hormones settle, it's just
Yeah,
an addiction
Kat,
to
and
hormones.
here's the thing, Kat. Here's the thing. I believe there does not have to be a honeymoon. When you consistently show up and you practice love every day, and you are non-sexually intimate every day, that desire can stay. I mean, it might ebb and flow, of course,
Hmm.
different parts of our lives,
Yeah.
women in menopause and perimenopause and those things. But it does not have to be a honeymoon phase, and then all of a sudden it just drops off the
Correct.
table.
Exactly.
You know,
I think there's a normal decline when there is comfort and safety, and your nervous system is no longer like, do they like me? Am I going to be with them? Like when you decide you're going to be together and there's like that comfort, that security, that safety, I think just the nervous system regulation that comes from that regulates our hormones and they level off a little bit. We don't have like the roller coaster.
and, and here's and
Um,
he- yeah,
but yes,
and
you can totally keep the excitement.
yeah, and here's the thing. We're going into like dating relationship sometimes with that stuff in us from the past. So our nervous system is going to look for up and down, not peace and calm, which is sometimes misread as this guy is boring.
Stop.
So I'm gonna friend zone him. But when in fact you feel comfortable and calm,
I
right? And I've learned that comfortable and calm ultimately will equal desire and things like that. It's not the chaos and because that's the chase. And well, I won't use that word. I should stop myself, but that's what been conditioned to believe is this is going to be a fairy tale. I'm
Mhm.
in love in 3 seconds, and I don't mean to poo-poo because those things can really happen. Someone can really fall in love very quickly or
They
feel
can
those
exist.
things. Yeah.
However, for the most of us, they're not as
For the
straight
most
up
of
like
it's
that.
not a realistic
Yeah.
gauge, right? And ultimately, if you're with someone when you first meet them and you feel the chaos, and then, a month in, you're still feeling the chaos and you want, no more, then you're not necessarily aware of, wait a minute, the signal was there in the beginning, or it can change. I've learned something too is people will show you and tell you who they are. You just have to pay
Believe?
attention. Now, that's not foolproof. It's
Yeah.
not foolproof, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good indicator, and a good indicator is how you're going to feel in your body, right? So, something I like to ask in conversation is like, let's say you're crying, Kat. Like, how do you feel in your body right now? What's moving for you? What's alive? Because those things are important to understand when you are with someone and you want to understand their not interstate like a road, but
Yeah.
inner state. Because that's what you want to know about someone. That's how you really understand someone as a complete human being, beyond the woman, beyond the man, or binary or non-binary, what have you.
The human.
The whole person. And I've learned that my curiosity as a value, that curiosity has to stay there as time goes on, right? I've learned so, I mean, I I read so much and I watch things about just being in relationship, and I've just become a sponge for it. Even something like I think, I don't, you might know this, but I'll share it if you don't, is when you're in a relationship, one thing you can do, I guess we're talking on a couple level, okay,
Mhm.
um, is once a week you do what I've read is called a walk and talk, which is you go on a walk with your partner and you ask him or her or he or they.
Mhm.
Usually, I'm not good with that. I ought to be better. But for this purpose, I'll just do binary. You ask her, I ask her, I say, how did I make you feel loved this week? Or what's something you think I could have done better for you this week? It's questions like that. And which to me are beyond spark. It's just like real. I mean, I'll even swear for you. It's really giving a shit about someone you really love.
Really giving a fuck about someone you
Well,
love.
I'll let you have that one. That reminds me of, I don't remember her name, this woman who is, I don't know, she's a lot on social media and talks about relationship. And every one of her little videos, she's always saying the F word constantly. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's her personality, but it's funny. Um, yeah, you know, yeah, a lot of people say, back up your words with action. It's very true. It's very true. Back up your, well, yeah, that sounds a little gruff, but just have your actions match your words. Showing up is just so huge, and it means a number of things, different things to different people. I like, for me, especially when I'm meeting someone, in addition to curiosity, intention, interest, responsiveness are big, are big. I also am not going to have someone try to mind read me. I'm going to tell them.
Right.
I'm going to tell them. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I really dig like when someone is, if I send them a text, like, if you respond within like, I don't know, 8 hours, that's cool. But if I don't hear from you from like 3 days, I'm gonna like, wait a minute. And if something's up, just say, hey, something's going on right now personally, and I'll get back to you soon. That's all. It's so much communication. We are, all of us human beings are just, it's weird. But these are things that need to be unlearned from the past, from childhood, which are we don't have the ability as little ones to question. We take it as gospel, we take it as gospel.
Then we have to undo all of this, right? When we
Yes.
grow up. I just wanted to clarify. I said I laughed and I said stop when you said you were boring, is because I have been accused of being boring. And I was saying that to someone just last night that I've been accused of being boring and not being because I'm not an emotional roller coaster like most women. And guys are like, okay, well, she's not like texting me off the hook all day, and she's not like needy, and she's not like this, and she's not like that, and she's not crying all the time. And so I've been accused of being boring by not, I guess, being unpredictable and having like highs and lows, I'm assuming. And it just
Yeah.
makes me boring and talking about boring stuff and not being a
Yeah.
drinker. And one of my non-negotiables for relationships is also having a weekly check-in with my partner, and asking a lot of questions along the lines of what you were saying. This is a topic we could honestly spend 3 more sessions on for sure. Yeah, like we could be here till 8 p.m. Um, but I wanted to ask you one other question, and that is being an emotionally intelligent man,
Hmm.
how are you received by other men in society? The ones in your circle and then the ones outside of your circle. I want you to touch on that because I know that some of the emotionally intelligent men that I know struggle with connecting to men who are obviously haven't done that work yet, right? Because then there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of attacking and defending. And they're just not ready to face it. So like I know they have experienced that.
Yeah, I would say those within um, would say that they feel comfortable around me and they trust me and they trust my perspective if they're interested in one or I offer with consent, getting consent. The ones outside, I mean, it's mixed. Some, it's weird. I'm very spiritual man, which can mean so many things to so many people. So, the way I speak is not how I used to, if that makes any sense. And that can be uncomfortable for some. Uh, and I find a lot of it actually, I mean, I don't know, like where I am now. Well, that's no, now I'm thinking because I don't want to make it like about, oh, I'm up here, you're down here, because that's not it at all,
No, it's just like a path. Like
It-
I'm on this side and you're on this
I'm
side.
a,
It's
yeah,
not up
someone,
or
yeah,
down.
some don't resonate with the way I am or the way I speak, and
Mhm.
that's okay
Yeah,
because I feel like I can offer something to just about anyone,
I agree.
even if it's just, a kind smile and a genuine compliment.
Mhm.
But it's definitely important it's definitely important like within people who are like-minded, like hearted for us to model for each other, model that kind of way of being to mirror it back to each other. Because then the whole idea of like, I'm in this friggin' life alone, but you're not. You're not. You're really not. And that's a really important element um, to growth overall, and to feeling seen. I mean, it feels like the biggest thing of all this, Cat, is it has to start when someone really just says, hey, I see you, I see your pain, and you are not alone.
Thank you,
And
TS. That's a
that's the
beautiful.
beginning of it. That really is, I think, you know, um, it's weird, as you and I have gotten older, we really see life in a different way and what we need and what no longer serves us. And I think I used to I know I did. I used to look at life through a lens of pain. And now I look through life through a lens of like possibility. And there's just so much beauty out there. And that human beings can be very messy, and that's okay. And, somehow finding a way and through, like with, guidance through meditation to let go of judgment, of self-judgment, of judgment of other. Because like the idea of perfection is just, that's not even a thing. What is perfect? Some will say, like there's an idea like you are perfect as you are. Well, you are. And if you want to change, great. If you don't, you know, try not to hurt anyone else. But for men and for and I do want to stress here that for masculine gendered who have this same thing, this same problem, or challenge, or even say like a female-bodied person who had gender reassignment have felt the brunt, have potentially felt the brunt of what you speak to and what you support, you know, those things, those, and yeah, help me.
Can you tell people how to find you on your socials?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Um, my name is TS Shikora, Shikora. I am happy to have a free chat, no nothing obligation,
Mhm.
complimentary conversation with you through my LinkedIn profile. And we can talk about, if you want to work on learning meditation, or if you want to bring guided meditation to your life, your employees, your partners. And I write my own and do my own meditation. Sometimes I do them from stream of consciousness. I just close my eyes and we can
Great voice
customize
for
those.
that, for sure.
What's that?
You have a great voice for that. I'm so
Thank you.
relaxed. I'm like, I'm trying not to doze off. And it's
Thank
not
you.
because you're boring, it's because your voice is so calming. So,
All women tell me I'm boring.
yeah, you're
Thank you.
very calm.
Thank you. Yeah. So work in progress is
Mhm.
website and literature, things like that. They are not there available yet,
But they will be.
but we can, I can make it happen for you and with you.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Well,
I
I believe in you and I want to support you, and I'm going to post all your contacts in the notes for the podcast
thank you. Thank
and
you,
for the
Kat.
episode. Thank you so much for all your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your journey with me and with the
Thanks.
listeners. And thank you so much for your time. You did an amazing job, by the way.
Thank you. It's not a job.
No,
It's
like being on the
it's my
podcast. You did an
it's my
amazing job
work.
today. Yes.
It's okay. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kat, Hannah. I appreciate you.
Thank you.